At my brother's wedding, I discovered my husband and my sister-in-law having an affair. When I looked at the groom, he smiled and said, "Relax, the real show is just starting." Hey everyone, can you imagine the gut-wrenching moment when you walk into a quiet corner, expecting a peaceful moment, only to find your husband passionately kissing your future sister-in-law on your brother's wedding day? Yeah, that happened to me. But instead of falling apart right there, I decided to turn that fairy tale wedding into a living nightmare for them. What happened next? Oh, it was a spectacular downfall they would never forget. It was Liam's wedding day, my older brother, my rock. The Plaza Hotel in New York City was absolutely breathtaking, decked out in white silk and fresh flowers. Crystal chandeliers glittered, soft music played. It was a scene straight out of a dream. My brother, Liam, looked incredibly handsome, radiating pure joy. He's 5 years older than me, and ever since our parents passed too soon, he'd been everything to me, a father, a friend, my entire world. Seeing him find such happiness with Sophia, who seemed so sweet and fragile, filled my heart with an almost overwhelming warmth. She always looked at him with such admiration, treating me like a real sister during their courtship. I truly believed our little family was finally complete. My husband, Ethan, stood right beside me, his arm draped around my waist. He was a brilliant architect, and everyone, myself included, thought he was perfect. We'd been married 5 years, a marriage people envied. He was always so gentle, so attentive, my steadfast pillar through every storm. He gave my hand a gentle squeeze and whispered, "Your brother looks amazing, and Sophia, she's a dream, a match made in heaven." I leaned into his shoulder, smiling, feeling that familiar calm. Yes, I remember saying, "I hope they'll be as happy as we are." I honestly believed I was the luckiest woman alive. I had a brother who adored me, a wonderful husband, and a lovely sister-in-law on the way. I was living in this perfect, rose-colored bubble, and then just moments later, I popped at myself. The ceremony was about to start, and I realized Ethan had disappeared. I wanted a quick photo with the happy couple. I scanned the room, but he wasn't there. Thinking he might be on a call, I wandered down a quiet hallway to a small balcony overlooking the garden. As I got closer, I heard whispers. Then, a woman's giggle. That voice, it was sickeningly familiar. My heart started to hammer. Through the narrow crack in the glass door, I saw a scene that made my blood run ice cold. Ethan, my husband, was holding Sophia, my future sister-in-law, in his arms, kissing her with an intensity that stole my breath. She was still in her immaculate wedding dress, but it suddenly looked utterly disgusting, a symbol of pure hypocrisy. Time stopped. My ears went deaf to everything, but the sound of my heart shattering. I gripped the cold wall, barely staying upright. A lump formed in my throat, a wave of nausea rising in my chest. Then their voices. Each word was like a sharp knife, plunging into the last shreds of my hope. "You're very bold, babe. Meeting here?" Sophia purred, her hands wrapped around Ethan's neck. He scoffed, a laugh I'd never heard from him, arrogant, disdainful. "What are you afraid of? No one would ever imagine. Look at that stupid family of hers, busy running around like puppets. And her brother, Liam, he's just a lovesick fool. We have everything under control." Stupid. He meant me. Lovesick fool. He meant my brother. My fists clenched so tight, my nails dug into my palms, but I felt nothing. "Still, I'm a little nervous," Sophia continued. "What if everything's discovered? Besides, I don't like the idea of living with you and your wife." Ethan laughed again, this time with pure contempt. "You don't have to be jealous of that kid. I married her only for the status, to fool the world. She's nothing more than a baby machine, my shield. As soon as she gives me a son, I'll find a way to get rid of her. Soon, all of Liam's fortune will be ours. And then you can have whatever you want, my love. My love. Those two words hit me like a lightning bolt. I couldn't take it anymore. My world, my beliefs, 5 years of what I thought was love, shattered. I turned and walked away like a zombie. Tears streamed down my face, but I couldn't scream. I just felt pure, profound disgust. Stumbling blindly, I bumped into someone. Through my tear-blurred vision, I saw Liam, my brother, the groom. "Chloe, what's wrong?" "What happened?" he asked, his handsome brow furrowed with concern. I couldn't hold it in. I threw my arms around him and just broke down. Between choked sobs, I told him everything I'd just seen and heard. I expected him to explode, to race to that balcony, to call off the wedding right then. But he just listened, silently patting my back with his large hand. When I finally stopped crying, he gently pushed me back and looked straight into my eyes. There was no shock, no anger on his face, just a terrifying calm. He wiped my tears away and then gave me a wink, a meaningful gesture only we understood. He whispered something I'll never forget. "Don't worry, the main event is about to begin." The main event. His words hit me like another thunderbolt. My mind was reeling. How could he be so calm? Was he in shock? Had he lost his mind? He saw the confusion on my face, but said nothing else. He simply took my hand, firmly, and led me to the groom's waiting room. He looked around, cautious, then pushed me inside and locked the door. The room was festive, but the air was heavy, almost suffocating. "Chloe, listen to me carefully." Liam turned, his eyes no longer terrifyingly calm, but filled with a cold, unshakable determination, the same look he had when making huge business decisions. "I've known about all this for a long time." I froze. How? How was that even possible? Liam sighed, pulled up a chair for me. "It was 3 months ago. I started noticing things. Sophia was too interested in the company's financials, details a fiancé wouldn't normally care about. And Ethan? He was far too familiar with her. Subtle glances, small gestures, things only someone looking for them would notice. A knot tightened in my chest. While I was blind with happiness, my brother had been seeing the dangerous undercurrents. I had a bad feeling. He continued. "So, I hired a private investigator. What they found was far worse than I imagined. It wasn't just infidelity, Chloe. It was a meticulously calculated conspiracy." He opened his phone, showing me photos, Ethan and Sophia on secret dates, bank statements with large transfers to her. But what truly horrified me was a detailed plan in Ethan's emails. Sophia was to seduce Liam, marry into our family. Ethan, as my husband, would use my trust to leak company info. Their ultimate goal? After the wedding, Sophia would convince Liam to give Ethan key projects. They'd embezzle funds, create ghost debts, and bankrupt the company our parents built, taking everything. My blood ran cold. 5 years of marriage. All that love, just a move in their game. Ethan didn't love me. I was a pawn. My romantic betrayal turned into a deep, burning hatred. They hadn't just trampled on my feelings. They were trying to destroy our family's legacy. Then why? Why go through with the wedding? I asked, my voice trembling. Liam's eyes glinted sharply. If I'd broken it off, we'd only catch 2 small fish, Ethan and Sophia. The real puppet master would have stayed hidden. Besides, we didn't have enough evidence to expose the entire conspiracy. My brother had decided to turn the wedding into a trap, a grand stage for their public unraveling. I've prepared everything. Chloe, the company's important assets are safe. Their target projects are shell projects, worthless. And I've installed recorders and cameras everywhere. We just have to wait for them to expose themselves. I looked at Liam, feeling a mix of pity and immense admiration. He'd carried this burden alone, planning his counterattack, while I was lost in my fake happiness. Now I need you. Liam's voice grew serious. Your discovery, right now, is a variable they didn't expect. It's our ace in the hole. They'll just see you as a heartbroken, betrayed wife. They'll never suspect you. Keep playing that role. Keep crying. Pretend to be devastated. The more miserable you appear, the better. Can you do it? I quickly wiped my tears. The pain still burned, but it was now a raging fire of hatred. He was right. This was no time for weakness. I wasn't just grieving a husband's betrayal. I was fighting for our entire family. I can do it, I said, my voice surprisingly firm. Just then, a knock. Mr. Miller, it's time. The wedding planner. Liam stood, adjusted his bow tie, and looked at me, a confident smile playing on his lips. All right, little sis, let's go out there. The show is about to begin. Remember, you are not alone. Your brother is here. He opened the door, and we walked out together. In the main hall, Ethan and Sophia were cheerfully mingling, arm in arm. Ethan spotted us and hurried over, concern etched on his face. Chloe, where have you been? I've been looking everywhere. I just shook my head, my eyes still swollen from crying, and moved closer to Liam. He looked puzzled, probably thinking I was just tired. The music swelled, and the MC boomed. And now, let's welcome today's stars, the groom, Mr. Liam Miller, and the bride, Miss Sophia Reed. Lights spotlighted them. My brother, the groom, took Sophia's hand. I smiled, then, probably the most perfect lie of my life. But it was also a smile that promised a storm. On stage, Liam and Sophia looked like the perfect couple. Liam still wore his happy smile, a flawless performance. Sophia was the picture of shy sweetness, casting loving glances at him. An exceptional actress. They walked down the rose-covered aisle to endless applause. I sat in the front row, Ethan's arms still around my shoulders, whispering sweet nothings. Aren't they beautiful? I hope we'll celebrate such a grand anniversary too. I leaned into him, feigning intoxication by the romance, but inside I was fighting nausea. His hand, once tender, now felt repulsive, the same hand that had just embraced her. The ceremony rolled on. The MC's syrupy voice praised their predestined love story. I almost laughed out loud. Destiny? Yes, a destiny woven with conspiracy and calculation. Then came the rings. A flower girl, adorable in white, brought them up. Liam and Sophia faced each other, ready to exchange their symbols of love. One moment. A voice cut through the sacred moment. The hall went silent. All eyes turned. It was a middle-aged woman, elegantly dressed, but with a face full of anger and pain. An older man was with her. I saw Sophia flinch, her face going pale. Liam remained perfectly calm. Excuse me, who are you? The MC tried to intervene. The woman ignored him, walking straight onto the stage, stopping before Sophia. Sophia, do you recognize me? Sophia took a step back, her face drained of blood. Ma'am, how are you here? Why shouldn't I be? The woman scoffed, bitter. I came to see how my future daughter-in-law, who swore eternal love to my son, is about to become another man's wife. I came for justice for my son. A murmur spread. Asterisk, future, daughter-in-law, son, asterisk Ethan, beside me, was startled. What's going on, Chloe? Who is that woman? I just shook my head, feigning confusion. The woman turned to the guests, her voice rising. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for interrupting this happy day, but I must speak. This young lady, Sophia, was my son's fiancée. They were in love for 5 years, engaged, waiting for their wedding date. But in just a few months, she changed her mind, ran off with a richer man, leaving my son heartbroken. She pulled out photos from her purse, scattering them on the stage, Sophia and another man in affectionate poses, engagement party pictures. A collective gasp. The admiration for Sophia turned to doubt, curiosity, reproach. Sophia stood frozen, white as a sheet. She stammered, "No, it's not like that. That person and we broke up ages ago." "Broke up?" The woman scoffed again. "How shameless! You lie. Just 3 months ago, you took money from my son for shopping and investments. You used and deceived him. How can you betray him like this?" Sophia couldn't speak, looking desperately at Liam. But my brother, who should have been furious, just crossed his arms, staring at her with an unfamiliar coldness. I, watching from below, knew this was just the first act. Liam had found Sophia's abandoned ex-boyfriend and invited his mother. He wanted to rip off her mask of innocence. Seeing the situation spiral, Sophia suddenly clutched her chest, staggered, and collapsed, faking a faint. "Oh my God, the bride has fainted," some shouted. Sophia's family, whom I now knew were hired actors, rushed the stage, creating chaos. Amidst it all, Liam calmly walked over, looked down at unconscious Sophia, a slight smile on his face. He took the mic from the stunned MC. "Ladies and gentlemen," his voice resonated, firm and clear, silencing everyone. "I'm sorry to have shown you such an unpleasant play, but I believe the truth must always come to light." He glanced at Sophia, whose eyelids were subtly fluttering. "You act very well, Miss Reed, but I think it's time to end this farce." His words were a bucket of ice water. Sophia, startled, slammed her eyes shut, but it was too late. Everyone had seen. And to make this play even more interesting, Liam continued, "I'd like to invite another special guest to the stage, someone very closely related to this charade." He looked directly at where Ethan and I sat. My heart pounded. It was our turn. The stage lights swung, blinding us. Hundreds of curious, surprised eyes fixed on the family section. Ethan was stunned, clueless. He whispered, "Who's your brother calling?" "A special guest." I didn't answer, just looked at him with innocent, tear-filled eyes. My turn to act. On stage, Liam's voice boomed. He addressed Ethan directly. "The person I want to invite is none other than my brother-in-law, the architect Ethan Thompson. Could you please come up here and share in this joy with us?" The hall buzzed with confusion. Why would the groom call his brother-in-law at such a delicate moment? Ethan was paralyzed. He looked at me, then at the stage, his face paling. He must have realized something was terribly wrong. But with a public invitation and hundreds of eyes on him, he couldn't refuse. "Go on up, honey," I said softly, giving him a gentle push. With an innocent tone, I added, "Maybe Liam wants you to share the secret of a happy marriage." My words were a pinprick, making Ethan flinch. He swallowed hard, forced a smile, and slowly walked toward the stage. Each step seemed to weigh a ton. When he reached the stage, Liam put an arm around his shoulders, affectionately. "Ladies and gentlemen, don't you think my brother-in-law is handsome and talented? I'm very proud to have a brother-in-law like him. Not only is he a talented architect, but also a wonderful husband who deeply loves my sister." Liam's praise baffled Ethan even more. He could only manage an awkward smile. "And perhaps," Liam continued, his voice suddenly dripping with meaning, "he's so perfect that not only my sister loves him, but other women love him too. Isn't that right, my dear bride?" Liam turned to Sophia, still unconscious, on the floor. I saw her eyelids tremble. Ethan's face was now paper white. He started to sweat, trying to wriggle from Liam's grasp. "Brother-in-law, what are you saying? Everyone is misunderstanding things." "Misunderstanding?" Liam laughed, a cold, humorless sound. "Well, let me show everyone what the misunderstanding is." He signaled to the tech crew. The two enormous LED screens, which had shown romantic photos, went dark. Then they lit up again. But this time, it wasn't roses. It was a video recorded from a hidden angle on the balcony. The entire hall gasped. The same scene I had witnessed an hour earlier unfolded vividly. My husband, Ethan, passionately embracing and kissing the bride, Sophia, in her wedding dress. The audio was crystal clear. Each disgusting word echoed through the hall. That stupid family of hers, busy running around like puppets, and that Liam, he's just a lovesick fool. I married her only to fool the world. She's nothing more than a baby machine. The ballroom erupted. Shouts, insults, looks of contempt rained down on the two on stage. The sordid drama of adultery and betrayal projected for all to see. Sophia couldn't keep up her fainting act. She shot up, pale and trembling. Ethan could barely stand, staggering back, pointing at the screen, stammering, "No, it's not true. It's edited. It's fake." But his weak words couldn't quell the crowd's fury. "Trash. Cheaters. I can't believe it." Sophia's fake family stood frozen, red-faced, not knowing what to do. I was still in the front row. Tears flowed again, this time real. They were tears of pain, reliving that scene, hearing those poisonous words again, in front of everyone. I covered my face, my shoulders shaking, the perfect image of a shattered victim. On stage, Liam looked at me, a flash of compassion, then cold determination. He snatched the mic from the MC. "Ladies and gentlemen," he shouted, his voice silencing the chaos. "Have you all seen it? This is the true face of the woman I was about to marry, and the man I once considered my brother-in-law, part of my family." He turned to Ethan and Sophia, his gaze like daggers. "Do you two have anything else to say? Or do you want me to show you something even more interesting?" Ethan and Sophia, desperate, could only shake their heads. They were cornered. But all of this, Liam continued, his voice becoming even more mysterious, doesn't end here. This drama of infidelity is actually just the tip of a much larger iceberg. The hall fell silent again. Everyone wondered what the groom meant. Liam pulled a stack of documents from his tuxedo pocket, holding it up. What they really wanted wasn't love, but this. The stack of documents in Liam's hand became the new center of attention. Ethan and Sophia looked up, terror now replacing their despair. They knew exactly what those papers held. "Before I tell you what this is," Liam said, slow and clear, "I'd like to tell you a little story. The story of a cunning old fox who used two skunks to rob a hen house." He scanned the room, his gaze piercing the VIP section. I noticed a stout, elegantly dressed, middle-aged man suddenly tense. He coughed, adjusted his tie. "Mr. Caldwell." The fox, Liam continued, knew the hen house was well protected, so he didn't dare act alone. He found two skunks, male and female. He promised them a life of abundance if they helped. The female's mission: seduce the head rooster, the future owner of the hen house. The male's mission: court the head rooster's sister, a naive hen, to become part of the family. My tears, real now, flowed freely. Liam's metaphor was another knife. I was that naive hen. Their ultimate goal, Liam's voice turned icy, was to gain trust, slowly open the doors, break the fences, so the old fox could quietly come in and take over the entire hen house. A perfect plan, wouldn't you say? He looked directly at Ethan and Sophia. "You two skunks. Does this story sound familiar?" They hung their heads in shame. And this, Liam raised the stack of documents, is the detailed plan and the map the old fox drew for the two skunks. The map that tells them which path to take, where to break the fence. This is the complete plan to take over the Miller Corporation, our parents' life's work. He flipped through the documents, projecting their contents onto the big screen. Figures, charts, dirty business strategies. Their plan wasn't just embezzlement. It included false scandals, undermining Liam's credibility, sowing internal division to create conditions for a rival company to acquire Miller Corp for a steal. And that rival company's name was in plain sight, Aurelian Holdings. The hall murmured. Aurelian Holdings was well known, an emerging aggressive force. And the man in the gray suit, Mr. Caldwell, CEO of Aurelian Holdings, was now the focus of all eyes. He paled but tried to maintain composure, standing to leave. "Mr. Caldwell, where are you going in such a hurry?" Liam's voice, like an invisible rope, stopped him. "The best part is yet to come. You wouldn't want to miss it." Mr. Caldwell turned, forcing an awkward smile. "CEO Miller, I believe there's a misunderstanding. I have nothing to do with your company's internal affairs." "Nothing to do." Liam laughed cold. "Then how do you explain your secret meetings with these two? The money you sent Miss Reed, so she could pose as a rich girl? The promise of a project director position to Mr. Thompson, if everything went well?" Each question was a heavy blow. I knew Liam wasn't just talking. He had the evidence. Just then, two plainclothes men, police detectives, approached Mr. Caldwell's table. They said nothing, just stared with solemn gazes. Mr. Caldwell realized his escape routes were blocked. He collapsed into his chair, sweat beading on his forehead. The play he'd carefully constructed was over. The old fox was cornered. I watched it all, no longer consumed by personal pain, but by anger at the sheer vileness of the business world. For profit, they'd trample everything: love, family, decency. Ethan, whom I once loved madly, was a pawn, selling his soul for a hollow promise. He looked at me, no shamelessness, just extreme emptiness and despair. He'd lost everything: love, honor, his future. On stage, Liam, after exposing the conspiracy, walked to me and held out his hand. I took it, and we ascended the stage together. He took the mic, his voice no longer sharp but softened. "Ladies and gentlemen, the person most hurt in this story isn't me, but my sister, Chloe. This girl has endured the deceit and betrayal of the man she loved deeply. She is completely innocent." He turned to me, his eyes full of love. "Chloe, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through this. I should have realized sooner. I should have protected you better." I shook my head, tears welling up again, tears of emotion, of gratitude. "Today's wedding," Liam continued, "will have no bride, but the party will go on. I hope all our distinguished guests will stay and consider this a party to celebrate the truth." The hall erupted in applause. Not for a wedding, but for courage, for justice. Just when I thought it was over, a sharp scream. Sophia, still on the floor, leaped up, tearing a hairpin from her hair. With a crazed look, she lunged at me. "It's all your fault. It's all your fault." It happened so fast, everyone was stunned. The hairpin glinted, a poisoned arrow. I froze. Liam didn't have time to react. Then a shadow shot out from behind me like lightning. It was Ethan. He threw himself in front of me. The hairpin grazed his shoulder, leaving a red stain on his white shirt. "Ah!" Ethan cried out, staggering back. Sophia seemed shocked by her own act, by his reaction. She dropped the hairpin, stunned. Hotel security rushed in, restraining her and leading her away. Chaos again. Liam rushed to Ethan. "Are you okay?" Ethan, face contorted in pain, shook his head. He didn't look at Liam, but at me. His gaze was complex: regret, pain, and, oddly, a kind of relief. "Chloe, are you okay?" I stared at the blood on his shoulder, my heart a whirlwind of emotions. Why? How could the man who used me without mercy risk his life to protect me? Was it another act, an attempt for my last shred of compassion? Take him to the first aid room immediately. Liam ordered. As Ethan was led away, the detectives took Mr. Caldwell, who no longer looked imposing, just a defeated old man, head bowed, amidst accusations. The wedding farce was finally over. Liam took the mic again, trying to calm everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I apologize for the unexpected incident. Our party will have to end here. On behalf of my family, I sincerely thank you for your attendance. Guests left, one by one, carrying an unforgettable story. The splendid hall now looked desolate, a ruin. Liam and I stood silently in the empty space, utterly exhausted. "It's all over, Chloe," he said, patting my shoulder. I nodded, but one huge question lingered. "Brother, how did you know everything? The acquisition plan, Mr. Caldwell's role. How?" Liam looked at me, a sad smile touching his lips, because I wasn't the only one who wanted to unmask him. He told me another story, hidden for years. Our father, before he passed, was a close friend and business partner of Mr. Caldwell. They built their companies together, but it was Caldwell who, with dirty tricks, cheated our father out of his shares, driving him to bankruptcy. That blow made our father ill, and his health deteriorated rapidly. I always had my doubts about our father's death. Liam's voice grew grave. After inheriting the company, I secretly investigated. I gradually found evidence of Caldwell's crimes, but he was cunning, covering his tracks perfectly. I never had enough proof to bring him down, until Sophia appeared. My brother continued. At first, I was also deceived by her innocent appearance, but too many coincidences piled up. She constantly mentioned projects where Aurelian Holdings was competing with us. So I had her investigated and discovered her link to Mr. Caldwell. I realized he was trying to repeat the same script with me as he did with our father. This was my chance to avenge him. A lump formed in my throat. Behind our company's success, Liam had carried this heavy burden, living a lie with the woman he was to marry, waiting for the day he could strike. "So everything was in your plan?" "Most of it." Yes, Liam nodded. "Except for one thing. I didn't know your husband was part of his plan, and much less that you would be the trigger for all of this. Your appearance, your courage, that was the unexpected variable, the decisive blow that made him fall without time to react." My brother looked at me with pride. "My little sister, you've really grown up." I managed a tearful smile. We had won. Together. A hotel employee told us Ethan had received first aid. The wound wasn't deep, but he needed a tetanus shot. He wanted to talk to me alone before leaving. I hesitated, then nodded. I needed to know if any sincerity remained in him. I entered the first aid room. Ethan sat on a cot, shoulder bandaged, disheveled, his designer suit wrinkled, his shirt stained with blood. He looked utterly lifeless. He saw me, looking up with a guilt-ridden gaze. I'm sorry, Chloe. What good is an apology now?" I asked coldly. "I don't expect you to forgive me," he said, lowering his head. "I just wanted to tell you one thing. The moment I jumped to protect you, that was real. It wasn't an act." I looked at him in silence. "For the past 5 years," he continued, his voice hoarse, "I've been living a lie. I approached you because of Mr. Caldwell's plan, for the money. But then I started to have real feelings for you. Your sweetness, your kindness, it moved my heart. But I was in too deep. I couldn't turn back. I wanted you, and I also wanted the money and status. Greed clouded my judgment." He looked up, tears welling in his eyes. "Today, when you were in danger, I realized the only thing I wanted to protect was you, but it's too late for everything." I listened to his belated confession, no emotion in my heart. Love, maybe a flicker once, but his betrayal, the damage he caused, had killed that love. "Save those words for the judge," I said, my voice expressionless. "Between us, everything is over." I turned and walked out, leaving him alone with his regret and his late tears. The moment that door closed, the door to my 5-year marriage closed forever. A week after the stormy wedding, things calmed down, but the aftermath was enormous. The Aurelian Holdings case exploded, a scandal that rocked the business world. Mr. Caldwell, Sophia, and several executives were arrested for fraud, embezzlement, industrial espionage. Despite his act, Ethan couldn't escape. As a key player, he was summoned to testify, facing inevitable justice. I filed for divorce. It was quick and undisputed. We sold our house, our only shared asset. I wanted nothing that reminded me of that past. I needed time. I took a trip alone to Napa Valley, California, a quiet place to heal. I walked scenic trails, sat in charming cafes, reading, writing. After so many storms, all I truly needed was peace. One cool afternoon, sketching ideas for a new company project in a rustic cafe overlooking a vineyard, a familiar voice sounded beside me. Well, small world. I looked up, surprised. It was the police officer who'd handled a minor car accident for me a year prior. He wasn't in uniform, but a comfortable khaki jacket and jeans. He looked younger, more approachable. The Napa breeze ruffled his dark hair. Hi, I smiled, hiding my surprise. What a coincidence. On vacation? You could say that, he replied, a gentle smile revealing a dimple. I transferred here a few weeks ago, starting a new life. He glanced at my notebook. You were working. Sorry to interrupt. No, I was just finishing up. I said, closing it. He hesitated. Would you mind if I sit here? The cafe's crowded, and this is the only spot. I looked around. He was right. Yes, of course. He pulled up a chair. An awkward silence. At the wedding that day, he finally broke it. I saw everything. You were very brave. His words surprised me. I thought he was only there for the arrests. Thank you. Fortunately, it's all over now. I'm David. He introduced himself. Chloe. Nice to meet you, David. We started talking. Light conversation at first, about Napa, work, hobbies. Then it deepened. David told me why he transferred. Burned out by New York stress, he wanted a quieter life, mountains, fresh air. I shared my story, not the painful details of betrayal, but my decision to leave the city, to find balance. We realized we were both on a journey for a new beginning. David was engaging, intelligent, funny, but with a quiet depth. Talking to him felt comfortable, a feeling I hadn't known in ages. The sky darkened, yellow cafe lights came on, creating a romantic atmosphere. It's getting late, David said, checking his watch. I have to get back to the station. It was a pleasure, Chloe. You too, I smiled. Oh, this weekend, he hesitated again. I'm planning a hike. If you're not busy, would you like to come? My heart skipped a beat. Hiking? I've never really done it. All the more reason, he smiled. The air is incredible. It helps release stress. I thought for a moment. Yes, I'd love to. After that chance encounter, we had our first date. We hiked mountains, walked through pine forests, discovered hidden restaurants. With David, I no longer had to be strong, to distrust everyone. He gave me a strange sense of security and peace. He didn't ask about my past, didn't make me relive painful memories. He simply stayed by my side, sharing the small joys of life. Our feelings grew naturally, gently, like the morning mist in Napa. One evening, by Lake Berryessa, watching the moonlight on the water, David took my hand. Chloe, his voice deep and warm, I know you've been through a lot. I don't want to stir up old wounds. I just want to say, if you'll let me, I'd like to be the person who writes a new chapter of your life with you, a chapter full of joy and happiness. I looked into his sincere eyes, my heart deeply moved. Tears welled up, but this time they were tears of happiness. I said nothing, just nodded, squeezing his warm hand. 2 years later, "Mommy, hurry up. Daddy and Uncle Liam are waiting outside." My little daughter, Ava's cheerful voice. I smiled, adjusted her bow. "Mommy's coming, my princess." I looked in the mirror, seeing a woman radiant with happiness. Today was special, my first wedding anniversary with David, and the opening of a new Miller Corporation branch in New York. My life had completely transformed. David, after we'd been dating for a while, requested a transfer back to New York to be by my side. He said wherever I was, that was where his peace would be. We had a small, warm wedding on the beach with only our loved ones. My brother Liam also found happiness marrying a kind teacher, and they just had a healthy baby boy. The Miller Corporation, under Liam's leadership and with my support, grew spectacularly, becoming a leader in its sector. As the car drove along the familiar highway, Ava on my lap chattered, pointing at everything. David, driving, turned to look at me and our daughter, his eyes full of love. We passed a large prison. I fell silent. I knew people inside were paying for their mistakes. I'd heard Ethan was getting a reduced sentence for good behavior. Sophia, I heard, had a mental breakdown and was in a psychiatric hospital. Mr. Caldwell, old and sick, finally broke down behind bars. I no longer hated them. My heart was peaceful. All the hatred was behind me. Love and forgiveness had taken its place. The opening party was a huge success. Amidst the bustle, I received a beautiful bouquet of white roses, no sender's name. Inside, a small card, shaky handwriting, typical of an elderly person. "Congratulations. May you be very happy." I knew who it was from. Someone, somewhere, was watching me, sincerely wishing me the best. That night, after the party, with Ava fast asleep, David and I stood on our hotel balcony, looking at the bright New York lights. He hugged me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. "Thank you," he whispered, "for coming into my life, for making my days meaningful." I smiled, turned, and rested my head on his firm chest. I should be more grateful. Thank you for healing all the wounds within me. We hugged in silence, savoring the happiness of the present. Life truly is a long journey with countless unpredictable forks. There were times I thought I'd fallen into an abyss of despair, but it was in that darkest place that I found the light, a new beginning, a new happiness. Everything was right here in my arms. After the New York trip, we returned to our quiet routine. Our small house was filled with Ava's laughter, the warmth of family. Liam often visited with his wife and son. Watching my daughter and nephew play, my heart felt completely healed. The past seemed distant, just an old story. The anonymous white roses and card from the opening? I dismissed them as a late apology from an Ethan relative, putting the card in a drawer, closing that chapter. But life isn't always a calm lake. The first ripples began so subtly, I thought it was my overactive imagination. Sometimes driving, I felt a familiar black sedan following me, but it vanished in traffic. Once playing with Ava in the park, I felt a fixed gaze from a distant bench. A middle-aged woman, elegantly dressed, a wide-brimmed hat and sunglasses. When I looked again, she quickly turned and left. I told David, and he laughed, hugging me. "You're overthinking. You're a successful, beautiful executive now. It's normal for admirers." But I knew he said it to reassure me. His police instincts were silently on alert. "I'll check the security cameras around the house." He added, "It never hurts to be cautious." That incident was forgotten until Ava's second birthday. It was an intimate party at home, just Liam's family, us, a few close friends. As everyone cheerfully sang "Happy Birthday," the doorbell rang. David opened it, returning with a beautifully wrapped gift, but his expression was strange. "It's from a courier service," he said. "A gift for Ava, but no sender's name." We were all surprised. I took the box. A vague unease washing over me. High-quality paper, an elaborate pink silk ribbon. Clearly, the sender had taken great care. Could it be from a business partner? Liam guessed. I thought so too. I carefully opened it. Inside, on a velvet lining, a small, exquisitely crafted white gold bracelet. The charm was a finely carved lotus flower with a diamond. It was valuable, but what made me freeze wasn't its worth, but the small card. The handwriting was soft, elegant, and very familiar. I opened it with trembling hands. One short line: "Happy birthday to our little one." From her grandmother. Asterisk, our little one. From her grandmother. Asterisk, the word grandmother hit me like lightning. Who? My mother had passed. David's mother lived in the countryside. Didn't write like this. Certainly not my trembling ex-mother-in-law. I compared the card to the white roses one. Identical. The same person. Someone calling herself my daughter's grandmother. "Chloe, what's wrong?" "You're pale," David said, shaking my shoulder. I didn't answer, just showed him the card. He read it, his handsome brows furrowing. He picked up the bracelet, examining it. "This is very strange. Who is this person? How does she know Ava's birthday and send such an expensive gift?" I collapsed into a chair, my mind a mess. Scattered images clicked into place. The black sedan, the mysterious woman in the park, the anonymous white roses, and now this. Not a coincidence. Someone, a woman, was silently watching my daughter and me. Rich, knew a lot about us, called herself Ava's grandmother. But how? My mother had died years ago in a terrible car accident. Liam and I had buried her. There couldn't be a mistake. So who is this woman? A distant relative I didn't know? Or a much more terrible secret? I looked at Ava, laughing, innocent, unaware of the storm brewing. A lump formed in my throat. I would not let anyone harm my daughter. I had to find the truth. Whoever this woman was, whatever her purpose, I had to find her. The quiet life I'd built faced a new storm, blowing from a past I thought I knew so well. The mysterious gift shattered the party's cheer. After everyone left, only Liam's family remained. "This is not a simple matter," Liam said, examining the bracelet. "A custom-made baby bracelet like this, white gold, a diamond, tens of thousands of dollars. This person is no ordinary individual." My sister-in-law, wise and gentle, asked, "Could it be someone from your ex-husband's family? Chloe? Trying to get close to Ava?" "Impossible." I shook my head firmly. "They have no reason, and this handwriting isn't theirs." David was silent, deep in thought. "First thing," he said, with a police officer's seriousness, "is to trace the origin of this gift. I'll take the box and wrapping to the crime lab. Fingerprints, other clues. And I'll review security cameras for the courier's vehicle." Liam nodded. "I'll use my contacts. See if any major jewelers recognize this unique lotus design. It's likely custom." Our conversation hit a wall. No hypothesis explained this grandmother. That night, I couldn't sleep. Hugging Ava, watching her sleep, an invisible fear enveloped me. Who was this woman? What did she want? Did she have bad intentions? Days passed in anxiety. David and Liam investigated, but all leads went nowhere. The courier was small, sender paid cash, fake name. Cameras showed an ordinary delivery person. No jeweler recognized the bracelet. The mysterious woman had calculated everything, leaving no trace. Seeing the investigation stall, I grew more anxious. I couldn't just wait. I had to find answers myself. I started with my past, with what I knew about my mother. I took time off, left Ava with my mother-in-law, and returned to my parents' old house. I hadn't been back in ages. The house was dusty, but every corner evoked warm memories of my mother. I started cleaning the attic where she kept old items, family keepsakes. I hoped to find some clue about this mysterious woman, a secret my mother never told us. I flipped through old photo albums, black and white, faded color. My mother, beautiful and radiant. My parents, happy on their wedding day. Liam and me as children. I looked them over and over, but saw no luxurious, unfamiliar woman. Just as I was about to give up, my hand brushed a small wooden box at the bottom of an old trunk, locked with a rusty padlock. After struggling, I opened it. No jewels, no money. A stack of yellowed letters, tied with a purple ribbon. I picked them up, hands trembling. The handwriting wasn't my mother's or father's. It was soft, elegant, identical to the birthday card. My heart stopped. I quickly opened the first letter. My dearest sister Catherine, a year has passed since that fateful day. I still can't forget how you saved me from that car about to explode. I don't know how I can ever repay you. I'm sending you a small gift. Please accept it. I know you'll refuse, but please don't. Consider it a small token from me for the 2 children you have at home. I must leave now. I can't stay in this place that has taken everything from me. Perhaps one day, when everything calms down, we will meet again. With all my love, Adrian. I reread it several times, mind reeling. Sister Catherine, my mother, a car accident, a savior? My mother had never told us this. And Adrian? Who was she? Why write to my mother? I quickly read the others, sent from France and Switzerland. Adrian spoke of her new life, her loneliness, the torment of leaving her home. She always asked about Liam and me, always sent expensive gifts, gifts my mother probably never told us about. The last letter was dated 5 years ago, the handwriting shakier. Sister Catherine, I believe my time is short. This illness has tormented me for too long. My only regret is I never came back to take care of my 2 children. I know I don't deserve to. I abandoned them. But please, sister, love them for me. Tell them that wherever I am, their mother will always be watching over them and loving them. I am sending you this key. It is the key to a personal safe deposit box in a Swiss bank. Inside is all the fortune I have amassed. Please give it to my children when they are older. Consider it the final compensation from a sinful mother. Goodbye, my sister, my friend, and my savior, Adrian. The letter fell from my hands. My whole body shook. Children, mother. The whole incredible truth slowly revealed itself. This woman, Adrian, she was... No, it couldn't be. My mother was Catherine Miller, and she was dead. There had to be a mistake. But this stack of letters, this key, that familiar handwriting. I sat stunned in the dusty attic, my mind a whirlpool of confusion. The past I knew, the identity I believed in, everything felt blurry, strange. A huge family secret, buried for over 20 years, was about to be opened, and it was directly related to me. That night, I didn't sleep a wink. Adrian's letters and the small key lay silently on the desk, but my mind was a whirlwind. Her mother, 2 children, those phrases stabbed deep into my heart. I tried to dismiss the crazy idea that Liam and I weren't the biological children of the woman we called Mom. But everything fit. The handwriting, the expensive gifts, the term grandmother for Ava. The next morning, I couldn't wait. I had to find Liam. He had to know. He was my brother, my only family. He deserved the truth about our roots. I drove hastily back to the city, straight to his office. Seeing my haggard look, my sunken eyes, He questioned me with concern. I said nothing, just closed the door, placed the letters and key on his desk. "Read it," I said, my voice hoarse. Liam, surprised, picked up the first letter. As he read, his expression morphed from surprise to astonishment, then shock. He read every letter, his hand trembling. When he finished, he collapsed into his chair, staring blankly. "No, it can't be," he muttered, shaking his head. "Our mother is Catherine. Who is this Adrian?" "I thought so too," I said bitterly. "But brother, look at this handwriting. It's identical to Ava's birthday card." I showed him the photo on my phone. Liam stared at both. The last shred of doubt vanished. He covered his face, his broad shoulders shaking. For the first time, I saw my always strong brother so fragile, so helpless. We sat in silence, lost in confused thoughts. The past we knew, the mother we loved, all a huge question mark. "So, Mom, Catherine," Liam lifted his head, his voice strained, "wasn't our biological mother? She raised us. She loved us. Why did she hide this?" "I don't know." I shook my head. "But I think she had her reasons. Adrian said she had to leave, couldn't stay. Something terrible must have happened. A car accident. That clue keeps coming back. Adrian said Catherine saved her. Yes, the secret must be in that car accident," David interjected, who had joined us. "Liam," I looked him in the eye, "we have to find out the truth. Not just for us, but for both our mothers." Liam nodded, his gaze hardening. "You're right. We have to find out what exactly happened 25 years ago. Our investigation began with those vague clues, the car accident, the date, the name Adrian. Thanks to Liam's social standing and David's police contacts, it wasn't hard to reopen old case files. A few days later, we got the accident report. A terrible crash in the Rocky Mountains. A luxury car lost control, plunged off a cliff, exploded. For people in the car, the CEO of Riva's Jewelers Group, his wife, the driver, and his wife. All four presumed dead. Riva's Jewelers. That name stunned us. An empire that dominated the American jewelry industry mysteriously collapsed after its CEO's death. "Wait a minute," Liam said. "Riva's, I remember. Our father worked at Riva's before founding Miller Corporation. He was the CFO there. Another coincidence. Everything connected. But the report says all four died," I said, puzzled. "So, who is Mom Adrian? Why did she say Mom Catherine saved her?" "That's the key," David intervened, pointing to a part of the autopsy report. Of the four bodies found, one was so badly burned, it was unrecognizable. Based on bone fragments, they could only confirm it was a woman. And people assumed it was the wife of the Riva's CEO, Mrs. Adrian. That means, I held my breath, that it's very likely that woman was not Mrs. Adrian. David concluded Mrs. Adrian survived the accident, and it's possible the person who saved her was your mother, Catherine. But for some reason, she chose to become a dead person in everyone's eyes and live another life abroad. But why? Why would a woman with status, money, everything, abandon it all, even her two children? This accident, Liam mused, was it really an accident, or was it murder? My brother's questions silenced the room. If it was murder, who was the mastermind? And why did Mom Adrian have to flee? David's phone rang. An old colleague from New York. He stepped out, returning with a serious expression. New information. I asked them to check the list of top executives at Riva's Jewelers from that time. Guess who was appointed acting CEO right after the death of CEO Riva's and his wife? Who? Liam and I asked in unison. It was him. David's voice turned firm. The CEO of Aurelian Holdings, Mr. Caldwell. That name again. Our family's old enemy, the man who drove our father to his death. A wave of nausea and anger rose. This can't be a coincidence. Liam slammed the table. Caldwell, our father, Riva's jewelers, and that car accident. There has to be a connection. A dark, terrible picture was forming. A conspiracy hidden for 25 years. A crime that not only claimed lives, but shattered a family. And now, by chance, we were closing in on the heart of that secret. The search for our roots had unexpectedly become a pursuit of truth in a serial murder case, and the most likely suspect was our family's arch-nemesis. Mr. Caldwell's name was like a key, unlocking a dark door to the past. All the events now converged into a terrifying hypothesis. Caldwell hadn't just driven our father to his death to take over Miller Corporation. 25 years earlier, he was likely behind that terrible accident to devour Riva's jewelers. If that's true, Liam gritted his teeth. He's not human. He's a demon. But all of this is just conjecture for now, David said, trying to maintain his professional calm. We don't have concrete evidence to charge him. The case is too old, traces erased. And Mom, Adrian, I intervened. If she's alive, she's the most important witness. She'll know exactly what happened. But why did she flee? Why didn't she come forward? She was probably scared, Liam replied. The enemy was too powerful. She had to worry about herself and her 2 children. Perhaps becoming dead was the only way to protect us. A lump in my throat. My biological mother's departure wasn't abandonment, but a silent sacrifice. She gave up everything for our safety, living in loneliness abroad. And our mother, Catherine, who raised us, was part of that sacrifice, living her life with that secret. What do we do now? I asked, looking at David and Liam. Go to Switzerland to find Mom Adrian? I suggested. No, David and Liam said, almost in unison. It's too dangerous, David explained. Mr. Caldwell is a cunning old fox. His network is everywhere. If he knows we're investigating, he won't hesitate to silence us, like he did your father. Besides, we're not sure Mom Adrian wants to see us. The last letter was 5 years ago. Who knows her situation now? David's right, Liam continued. What we need is evidence here first. The safe deposit box key is our most important clue. The fortune Mom Adrian left likely contains not just money, but something that can expose Caldwell's crimes. But that's a Swiss bank. I worried. Their secrecy laws are the strictest. Even with the key, I can't just open it. Leave it to me, Liam said, determined. I have a lawyer friend specializing in international law. He'll find a solution. It might take time, but it's not impossible. While Liam worked on Switzerland, David and I focused on another angle, finding former Riva's jewelers' employees. 25 years was long, but surely someone knew something. People silenced by Caldwell's oppression, bribes, or threats. Our search was tough. Many had moved, many had passed. Those who remained at the mention of Riva's, jewelers, or Caldwell shook their heads in fear. Caldwell's power had cast a long shadow. After days of searching, we had a stroke of luck. We found Mr. Paul, the retired former chauffeur for the Riva's CEO's family, now a frail old man, living alone in a small suburban house. He sat on his porch, looking into the distance with sad eyes. At first, he refused to talk, but when I showed him Mom Adrian's photo and told him who I was, his old eyes filled with tears. Miss, are you Miss Chloe? He asked, trembling. When I nodded, he burst into tears. My God, you're alive! I thought the entire CEO's family. He invited us in. After calming down, he recounted the story from 25 years ago, a nightmare he'd carried. The day of the accident, Mr. Paul's voice trembled. I was supposed to drive that car. But that morning, the then vice president, Mr. Caldwell, suddenly sent me to another state on an errand. He said it was urgent and sent another driver, a young kid, in my place. I didn't know him well. When I heard about the accident, I felt something was wrong. That car was the CEO's. I checked it every day. It was impossible for the brakes to fail. I tried to tell the police, but no one believed me. They said I was rambling from grief. And a few days later, Mr. Paul continued, Mr. Caldwell sent someone to give me a large sum of money and threatened that if I kept talking, my family wouldn't be safe. Out of fear for my children, he hung his head, regret in his voice. I had to keep silent. I took the money, left the job. For 25 years, I haven't slept in peace. Remorse and guilt have tormented me. Mr. Paul's testimony was living proof. The accident was no accident. Mr. Caldwell, Mr. Paul added, was cruel and very distrustful. He always had a small recorder installed in the CEO's office to monitor all conversations. I once accidentally saw him secretly changing the batteries. A flash of insight hit me. A recorder. If it was still there, it likely held vital conversations, evidence that could expose Caldwell. But where was that office? Riva's Jewelers no longer existed. Its old headquarters must belong to another company now. Just as we felt lost, Mr. Paul gave us another crucial piece of information. After the CEO's death, Mr. Caldwell sealed his entire old office. He said it was to preserve his memories, but I know he was scared. Scared someone would find something inside. That room is still intact on the top floor of the old Riva's building. All clues pointed to one thing: a room sealed for 25 years that might contain the black box of the entire case. But how could we access such a heavily guarded place? The old Riva's building was now Aurelian Tower, an impregnable fortress in the city center. Infiltrating it, especially the sealed room on the top floor, is almost impossible for ordinary people like us, David said after circling the building. The security system is state-of-the-art. Cameras everywhere, guards 24/7. Access doors use magnetic cards. No getting in through the front. As we racked our brains, Liam called with important news. I've spoken with my lawyer friend. He says as biological children, we have full right to request info about our mother's safe deposit box at the Swiss bank, but it's complicated, will take months. But he discovered something interesting. 5 years ago, right when Mom Adrian sent the last letter, someone else tried to access that box, but failed due to lack of identity documents. Who? I asked anxiously. It was Mr. Caldwell's people. A chill ran down my spine. He knew about the box. He'd been looking for it for years. This confirmed there was something inside that threatened him, and it meant we didn't have much time. If Caldwell discovered we were investigating, he wouldn't hesitate to act. The urgency forced a bold decision. If we can't get in through the front door, I said, looking at David and Liam, we'll get in another way. Aurelian Tower and our Miller Tower are right next to each other. The roofs are almost the same height. Don't tell me. Liam looked at me in amazement. No, Chloe, it's too dangerous. It's the only way, I said firmly. We don't have any more time. You can disable Miller Tower's security. David has the tech and experience, and I have to get in there. That room is connected to my past. After a long discussion, they reluctantly agreed. The plan was meticulously drawn. Time, 2 a.m., when both buildings were quiet. That night, the city slept, only faint streetlights. Standing on Miller Tower's roof with David, my heart pounded. The wind whipped my hair. Aurelian Tower's roof seemed just 15 feet away. Not far, but an abyss between life and death. David carefully prepared the equipment. An expert. He launched a high-strength cable to the opposite railing, anchoring it. I'll go first, David said, his voice deep, reassuring. When I cross and secure the area, you'll slide down the rope. Don't be afraid. I'll hold you tight. I nodded, palms damp with sweat. I held my breath as David deftly crossed the dark void. Minutes later, he was safe, signaling me. I took a deep breath, clung tightly to the cold rope, suspended in the night sky. Below, city lights were distant. One small mistake, but the thought of my mother, of the truth waiting, gave me strength. When my feet touched Aurelian Tower's railing, David rushed to help. "You did it," he whispered proudly. We quickly disabled the roof cameras, found the emergency stairs. The sealed office was one floor down. The old lock was no match for David. The heavy door creaked open, revealing a space plunged into darkness and dust for 25 years. We turned on a small flashlight. Everything was as Mr. Paul described. Desk, bookshelf, sofa, all covered in thick dust. The stale air smelled of time. The recorder was hidden behind a large oil painting. Mr. Paul had said. David carefully took down the painting. Sure enough, an old cassette recorder was cleverly installed. "Will it still work?" I asked, worried. "Hard to say," David replied, "but let's take it anyway." While he dismantled it, I searched further. I felt intuitively there had to be something else. My flashlight scanned the bookshelf. Hundreds of old, leather-bound books. Management, law. I remembered my father's habit. As CFO, he always carried a small notebook for secrets. Would CEO Rivas have a similar habit? I pulled out books, one by one. When I picked up a thick law book, Justice and Truth, it felt strangely heavy. I opened it. My heart stopped. The inside was hollowed out, perfectly fitting a small, black, leather-bound notebook. I picked it up, trembling. Asterisk, this is it. It has to be this. Asterisk, just then, footsteps. A faint murmur from the hallway. Checked the roof area carefully. I think I saw a suspicious shadow. My heart dropped. We were discovered. Security guards. The way back was blocked. Trapped. The footsteps grew closer. Light from their flashlights seeped under the door. I felt a knot in my chest, cold sweat. If caught, our plan was ruined. We'd be charged with trespassing, the evidence never seeing daylight. David motioned for silence. He quickly turned off the flashlight, pulled me behind a huge, old filing cabinet. We held our breath. A jingle of keys in the lock. My heart pounded. They were coming in. "This room has been sealed for a long time." "Who would come in here?" One voice said. "Better safe than sorry," another replied. "Lately, the boss has been telling us to keep a close eye on this area." The boss had to be Caldwell. Even after so many years, he watched this place. It confirmed he knew what was hidden. The lock clicked. The door creaked open. A dazzling beam of light swept the room. David and I held our breath, pressed against the cold cabinet. Fortunately, it was huge, and we were deep in a corner. "See nothing, just dust and cobwebs." The first voice said, "Come on, let's check other places." They lingered, lights scanning, then the door slammed shut. The lock clicked again. Footsteps faded. We were safe, for now. I let out a shaky sigh of relief, my strength failing. David signaled to wait. About 10 minutes later, sure they were gone, he turned on the flashlight. "We have to get out of here now," he whispered. "The way we came is no longer safe." "But how? The main door is locked. Guards are in the hallway. We're trapped." David's gaze scanned the room, stopping at a small ventilation window near the ceiling. "That's the only way out." It was tiny, high, barely enough for one person. It opened onto the building's facade. Outside, only a narrow ledge, barely a foot wide. "It's too dangerous." I shook my head. "It's the only option," David said firmly. "Do you trust me?" In that critical situation, his calm was my only support. I nodded. He moved the old desk, stacked a chair on it, climbed up, and carefully unlatched the window. A gust of cold night air rushed in. "That leads to an emergency balcony about 30 feet away," he explained. "I'll go first, then come back. You just have to stick to the wall and walk very slowly." He slipped out, carefully stepping onto the ledge. My heart leaped. One gust of wind. But David moved professionally, firm steps, back pressed to the wall. Minutes later, he reached the balcony, signaling me. The notebook and recorder were tucked safely in my bag. I took a deep breath, trying not to look down. My legs trembled as I stepped onto the ledge, body pressed to the cold wall. The wind whistled. "Don't be afraid. Just look at me." David's deep, calm voice came from ahead. "Just one step at a time." I focused on him, trying not to think of the abyss. 30 feet had never seemed so long. When my hand finally touched his outstretched one, I felt reborn. We descended several floors via emergency stairs, found a way back into the main hallway. Security was patrolling another area. We quickly returned to the roof, crossed back to Miller Tower. When my feet hit familiar ground, I collapsed, panting. The suffocating escape was over. Back in my apartment, we didn't rest. Liam arrived, listening to our story with a worried expression. David carefully opened the old recorder. After fiddling, he got it working. We held our breath. The old cassette tape turned, static of time, then a familiar voice, CEO Rivas, my biological father. He was on the phone. "I don't agree. Vice President Caldwell. That project is too risky. Cash flow isn't transparent. I can't approve it." A brief silence, then his voice sharpened. "I've told you before. Don't try to fool me. I know what you're doing behind my back. If you don't stop, I will reveal everything." The call ended. My heart pounded. Proof of conflict. But the next recording truly stunned us. Caldwell's voice. "The old man has found out everything. We can't leave him alive. A car accident. Yes, it has to look like an accident. His family. Take care of all of them. Leave no one behind. And then Rivas will be ours." A recorded confession. 25 years old. Undeniable. At the same time, I opened the black leather-bound notebook. Not just business transactions, but short diary entries from my father. His worry about Caldwell's conspiracy, his anxiety about feeling watched, his infinite love for his wife and 2 young children. On the last page, a line hastily written in special ink, visible only under UV light, a prudent habit of finance professionals. Liam and I knew it well. David shined a small UV flashlight he always carried. The writing appeared. "All original evidence, contracts, account statements are in the safe deposit box at the Swiss bank. Number XYZ. I have entrusted the key to Catherine. If anything happens to me, trust her. Catherine will know what to do." Everything became clear. Mom Catherine not only raised us, but was the trusted person my father tasked with protecting the most important evidence, the inheritance, and our future. The love and sacrifice our 2 mothers showed us were immense, grand. Tears welled up again, but this time they were tears of gratitude and pride. We had the confession, the clue to decisive evidence in Switzerland, and Caldwell's current crimes. The final counterattack was about to begin. The net of heaven had been woven tightly. All that was left was for the biggest fish to fall into it himself. With irrefutable evidence, we knew Judgment Day was near. But confronting a cunning old fox like Mr. Caldwell meant no rash moves. A small mistake could let him turn the tables. Liam said firmly, "We need a flawless plan." Hit him by surprise. The plan involved all 3 of us. Liam, with his business standing, would strike commercially. David, with his colleagues' support, handled the legal aspect. And I would confront him directly, becoming the fuse for the bomb. First, Switzerland. With the recording, the notebook, and American police cooperation, Liam's lawyer friend convinced the Swiss bank. They agreed to open the safe deposit box, provided I was present, supervised by both parties. A week later, Liam and I were in Zurich. The bank vault was cold, silent. When the familiar metal box was placed on the table, my heart pounded. Mom Catherine's key slid smoothly into the lock. A turn, a click. Inside, no money or jewels. A thick stack of documents, carefully wrapped in plastic. Originals of ghost contracts, bank statements of illicit money flows, secret agreements Caldwell used to take over Riva's jewelers. Each document bore his handwritten signature. This was the ultimate weapon, the final sword that could end that demon's career. With the lawyer present, we copied everything, sending it immediately to David. Everything was ready. Back in the U.S., the atmosphere was tense. Caldwell, after the failed intrusion at Aurelian Tower, had sensed danger. He became defensive. Bodyguards doubled, meetings strictly controlled. He's trying to erase his tracks, move his assets. David reported in an emergency meeting. We have to act before it's too late. D-Day was set, Aurelian Holdings' annual general meeting, a huge event bringing together management, shareholders, media, the perfect stage for our final act. That morning, I chose a deep red dress, symbolizing power. Liam wore his elegant suit, his eyes fierce. We attended not as competitors, but as guests of honor, a move Liam arranged through favorable shareholders. The auditorium was packed. Mr. Caldwell sat at the head of the stage, maintaining an expression of confidence. He gave a passionate speech about Aurelian Holdings' achievements, its ambitious future. A perfect speech from a competent leader. When he finished to thunderous applause, Liam gave me the signal. "Now, excuse me." A voice boomed from the doorway. David, in uniform, with an investigative team. "Mr. Caldwell, CEO of Aurelian Holdings. We are here to execute an emergency arrest and search warrant in connection with charges of organized murder and misappropriation of assets." The hall was stunned. All cameras instantly turned to the stage. Mr. Caldwell leaped up, his face changing, but he tried to maintain composure. "What are you talking about? There must be some mistake. I am an honest businessman." "There is no mistake, Mr. Caldwell." I raised my voice, walking from the audience. All eyes turned to me. "Or would you like me to remind you of the car accident that took place in the Rocky Mountains 25 years ago?" Hearing this, his composure crumbled. He looked at me, hatred and astonishment in his eyes. Liam stood up, joining me on stage, a stack of documents in his hand. "And also what you did to my father. The time has come for you to pay for all your crimes." Liam signaled the tech crew. On the giant screen behind Mr. Caldwell, instead of growth charts, images of documents, contracts, bank statements appeared. At the same time, Caldwell's own voice, ordering the elimination of the entire Rivas family, echoed through the hall. "Turn it off. Turn it off now." Mr. Caldwell roared like a wounded beast, running frantically towards the control panel. But it was too late. All the evidence had been revealed before hundreds of people, before the cameras of the entire country. David and his colleagues moved swiftly, handcuffing him. "Richard Caldwell, you are under arrest." The Aurelian Holdings empire, built on blood and tears, collapsed in an instant. Standing on stage, I watched as the enemy of two families was led away. I felt no jubilation, but a strange, light relief. Justice had finally been served. Asterisk Mom, Dad, are you watching? We did it. Asterisk amidst it all, a woman ran from the crowd, kneeling at my feet, crying inconsolably. It was Mr. Caldwell's wife. "Miss Chloe, please forgive my husband. He was just too ambitious." I looked at the poor woman, then out the window. The sky was still blue, the sun warm. Life would go on. But there are some mistakes that can never be forgiven. The Aurelian Holdings collapse shocked not just the business world, but society itself. The crimes hidden for 25 years finally came to light. Media reported Caldwell's cruelty and cunning daily. He went from successful entrepreneur to the embodiment of evil. With irrefutable evidence, he received the maximum penalty. His accomplices also faced justice. After the trial, our lives gradually returned to normal. Miller Corporation, eliminating an unfair competitor, developed spectacularly, becoming respected for its ethics. Liam, avenging his father, seemed to shed a huge weight. He became more cheerful, spending more time with his family. As for Rivas Jewelers as the sole legitimate heirs, Liam and I chose not to keep it. It was too stained with blood and tears. We sold all the assets. A portion compensated victims of Caldwell's practices. The rest funded a charitable foundation, the Adrian and Catherine Foundation, helping orphans and women in difficult situations. It was the best way to honor our two great mothers. A year later, I received a handwritten letter from France. The handwriting was weaker, but instantly recognizable, Mom Adrienne's. My dearest children, Liam and Chloe, by the time you read this, Mom will be in a very distant place. From the explosion at the wedding to the final trial, Mom has seen everything. You are very brave and strong. Mom is very proud of you. I know you may never forgive the mother who abandoned you for decades, but I truly had no other choice. That death long ago was the only way to protect you from the clutches of that demon. I had to live with torment, longing, and guilt, but knowing you were growing up safely under the love of my sister Catherine made all my sacrifice worthwhile. Now that the wicked man has paid for his crimes, the heavy burden on my heart can finally be released. I believe I can now go in peace and reunite with your father. Be happy, my children. Live a truly meaningful life in the name of your mother and father. I love you very much, Mom Adrian. Attached was her death certificate. She had passed just days after Caldwell's trial. Liam and I hugged, crying, tears of sadness, but also of understanding and peace. We could finally call her Mom with a peaceful heart. My life, after so many storms, found a quiet harbor. David and I decided to have a small, warm wedding in Napa Valley, where our love began. On our wedding day, instead of a lavish gown, I chose an elegant silk dress in a soft blush, simple and pure. In my hand, instead of a bouquet, I tightly held David's hand, the man who saw me through everything. Liam smiled happily, his eyes shining. Ava, in a beautiful princess dress, scattered rose petals. Amidst the warmth, we had a special guest, Mr. Paul, the former chauffeur. He brought us a small gift, an old photo of my biological parents in a simple wooden frame. Miss, I wish you all the happiness, he said, trembling. I accepted the gift, my heart full. The past was over, but the good memories, the good feelings would last forever. That afternoon, as the sun set over Napa's rolling hills, David and I stood side by side, looking at the distant horizon. A new chapter of life, full of love and hope, was opening before us. I knew that no storm could knock me down now, because by my side were people who loved me unconditionally, and I believe that somewhere high above, my three parents, my mothers and fathers, are watching over us, blessing us with a smile. So after hearing all that, what would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever faced such a complex web of betrayal and hidden truths? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know.